Okay, I just heard that. I hate these options, which is fine. That's okay. We don't need to hide our feelings. It's all right. This lesson went okay. First hour didn't go great. There were a couple kind of confusing points. So let's make sure we just ask those questions if you get confused anytime. I'm going to show you tricks to work with some numbers. And I know that some people's number sense is going to be stronger than others, but let's just try to work through it together. It says, what is 20% of 84? Let's make the problem easy first, and then we'll show you a way that works every time, okay? 20% of 84. Can somebody tell me 10%? 10% of 84. $8.40. I'm sorry, I'm treating it like it's money. So everybody agree that 10% of 84 is 8.4? So how do we figure out 20%? You just double it, right? You get 16.8. Now, that works if it's a nice number like 20%. Let me show you how we can work this out mathematically. What means X? Is means equals. 20%, what's 20% as a decimal? 0.2. Of means multiplication. 84. That's what that is communicating to you. So what is 20% of 84? So we take 84 times 0.2. So I'll do 84 times 0.2. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16. Where does the decimal point go? Because it's one spot. Very good. So 16.8 is the result, which we were able to check by using another method, right? Good. What is 125% of 60? So what is, how do we write 125% as a decimal? 1.25 times 60. We can figure that out, can't we? So 1.25 times 60. Notice if you carry the 0 all the way through, you get 0. So we move on to the 6, drop a 0. 6 times 5 is 30. Carry the 3. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 3, 15. Carry the 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 1 is 7. How many decimal points? 2, so 75. Now, I already heard 75 shouted out. Let's look at a different way to look at this. That's what you did? What's 100% of 60? 60. What's 25% of 60? That's 1/4 of it, so 15. If we add those together, we get 75. So again, if you can find multiple ways of doing the problem, that's a nice way to do it. Check your answer. Just, can everybody agree that when it comes to test time, like, can everybody agree that you're not going to just write 75? You are, but here's the problem. You get it wrong. Like, you think that you're right, but you make the mistake, and then I want to give you partial credit, but I don't see any of your work. So, like, if you at least just tell me, like, what you did, like, describe in some way, that'll help me give you partial credit if you get it wrong. Go ahead. You risk it, right? All right. 5 is 12% of what number? Let's write that as an equation. 5. Equals 0.12 times x. Good. That's the equation. How do we solve that? You can divide by 0.12, right? That's difficult to do, isn't it? Yep. So should we make it? Let's divide by the 0.12, and we'll review dividing by decimals. Okay. So we're now doing 5 divided by 0.12. Do you remember the trick to dividing decimals? Whatever you move the decimal place on the bottom, you do to the top. So if I put a 12 on the bottom, what goes on top? 500. Are you able to do 500 divided by 12? I think you can, right? 12 goes into 500. I believe in you. How many times 12 go into 50? 4 times, that gives you 48. Subtract, I get 2. Drop the 0. How many times 12 go into 20? Once. That gives you 12 minus, you get 8. Drop the 0. How many times 12 go into 80?
What 0?
So you continue to drop zeros as placeholders. Yep. 12 goes into 80 how many times? 6. Give me 72. And it repeats. So, again, on the test, I'll make sure I don't give you numbers that work out super crazy like that. I'll give you easier numbers to work with. But there was a time we used to do this, right? Okay. Not this test. Every other test you can. Not this test. I promise I will give you numbers that are easier to work with. Okay, let's go to the last one before we move to averages. 10 is what percent of 80? How do I write it out? Yep, or 80x. So we want x to end up being a percentage in the end. How do you solve for that? What do you do to both sides? One-eighth. Is 1/8 a percentage? No. Can I show you how we can turn it into a percent? We take 1 and divide it by 8. So 8 goes into 1. 0 times. Put the 0 in place. 8 goes into 10 once. Leaving you with? Good. 8. Subtract, you get 2. Drop the 0. 8 goes into 20. Twice. That's 16. Subtract, you get 4. Drop the 0. 8 goes into 40. 5 times. So 0.125. What is that as a percent? Isn't 0.125 the same as 12.5%? How did I get what part? This guy? This. So if I get 0.63, that's the same as 63%. Just simply move it 2 places. Better? Okay. Let's try something a little bit easier. Find the average of the following. How do we find averages? Add them all and divide by that number. So 4 plus 3 plus 10 plus 9 plus 12. Divided by what? There are 5, exactly, the number of terms that we added. We added 5 terms. 4 plus 3, 7 plus 10, 17 plus 9, 26 plus 12. Now, you don't like the division, right? Yeah, that's what you get mad about. So how many times does 5 go into 38? Very good, 7 times. With a remainder of? With a remainder of 3? right? Do you know what 3/5 is as a decimal? Because that's the same as 7 and 6/10. Isn't 3/5 the same as 6/10? So in other words, 7.6. That would be fine. That would be fine. I just want to show you that again, those are skills we want to have developed. Average of 5 numbers is 12.2. What's the sum of the 5 numbers? Yeah, let's understand why. Because an average, let's look at the formula. Average is equal to, you told me, the sum divided by the number of terms we add together, correct? So once we have a basic formula, we can solve rather easily. Look at what it says. The average of 5 numbers is 12.2. So which letter will the 12.2 go in for? The average, right? Agreed? So 12.2 is equal to, how many numbers are we adding up? 5. And we're wondering what the sum is. So that's our equation. Sum divided by 5 is equal to 12.2. If we want to solve that equation, what do you do to both sides? Times by 5. So 12.2 times 5. Very good. 5 times 2 is 10. Carry the 1. 5 times 2 is 10, so 11. 5 times 1 is 5. Add 1, I get 6. 1 decimal point, 61. Last problem. Again, you can call Mr. Gann stupid, dumb, ugly, whatever you want, but you can't say I don't tell you what you're going to need to know for the test. I promise you're going to have a problem identical, basically, to problem 7 on the test. Going to have different numbers, but you have to know how to do this. Joe wants an average of 80 or better on his test. Sound reasonable? Yeah? Get an 80 or better? His current test scores are 60. Oof. 76. Trending better. And 98. Way to go. He's rocking it. What does he need on his 4th test to average 80? You've maybe wondered about this before for your own classes, right? Let's figure it out. Let's use sum divided by the number is equal to the average. What goes where? Good. 80 equals. What else? Four is the number. Good. So you did 234. You added those up, right? But that's 3 tests. We want, so we need plus x, whatever that 4th test would be. In order to solve that, what do we need to do to both sides? Multiply by 4. So if we multiply both sides by 4, notice the 4's cancel, and you're left with 234 plus x is equal to 320. Can we solve that now? Subtract the 234. $320 minus 234, we go ahead and borrow from the 2, put a 1 there. 10 minus 4 is 6. Borrow from the 3 to get 2. 11 minus 3 is 8. As you said, x is 86. He needs an 86 on his last test in order to average an 80 as a whole. I understand that working with some of the numbers, the decimals, the fractions, that can be challenging. And for some people, this isn't their best test of the quarter. They do better when we get back to the algebra skills. You'll be able to use a calculator on your following tests. Just this one I want you to try to stay away from as much as possible. Okay, so you have your last worksheet.